All right, so for today's class, we'll be talking about wireframes. We want to know what wireframes are, how we can use them, and why we use them. Okay, so firstly, we want to know what wireframe is. So, a wireframe is a 2D visualization of a digital product, and it ranges from just basic pencil sketches to fully interactive designs. So there are different types of wireframe, and I'll show you pictures of them as we continue with the class. So these wireframes are more or less drawings that mimic the original design or the original thing. Take for instance, you know architects, right? They have what they call blueprints, and that blueprint they use it as a guide to create, let's say, a full construction or a full building or whatever they are building. So these blueprints they show it to their team so that they could know exactly what they want to build. So similarly in product design, we have wireframes. So wireframes are more or less blueprints of the actual design you want to make. So who can use these wireframes? Wireframes are used by the UI UX team to show their stakeholders or board members or team members the idea that they want to bring to life. So they just want them to see the visual representation of it and how it will look before they start working. So when do we use these wireframes? When do we use wireframes? We actually use wireframes at the beginning stage of our product design. We use it in the beginning stage. After we've done our research and everything, the next step is for us to wireframe whatever we want to design so that it serves as a guide for us and we know exactly what we're doing. So, why do we use wireframes? Why do we use wireframes? Wireframes they serve three key purposes, and the first of which is they keep the concept user focused. So when you make your research and you get every single detail you need to know from the users and how you want the app to function, then base wireframe for the actual design. Let's just say it's a skeletal diagram for the actual design. So the second purpose of wireframe is to clarify and define the features of the website. Then the third is they serve as a quick and cheap means to starting or creating your design. So you don't have to break the bank to create a wireframe. So what are the types of wireframe that we have? What are the types of wireframe that we have? We have what we call the low fidelity wireframe, which is low-fi for short. Then we have the high fidelity wireframe, which is hi-fi for short. And we have the mid fidelity wireframe, which is mid-fi, sorry, for short. Yeah, so what are the types of this wireframe, their explanation. Now for low-fi wireframe, as you can see in the image, let me see if any other person has joined. Okay. So as you can see in this image, you can see that this is just a simple sketch, right? This is just a simple sketch that you do on a piece of paper with your pen or your pencil. So while the ideas are coming to your head, you just go ahead and draw them. But one thing you should note for lo-fi wireframe is that it doesn't use imagery or typography. You can see they use these lines and this box here to symbolize that okay, here should have a text and here should have an image and the rest like that. So for lo-fi wireframe, you do not need to use text or image. Then for hi-fi wireframe, Hi-fi wireframe is um, mostly the main thing. You can see this is the hi-fi wireframe here. This is mid-fi. This is hi-fi wireframe. For hi-fi wireframe, it includes imagery and typography. Like you can see here, you see the invite users, and you also see some icons. Yeah, so that is hi-fi wireframe. Then for mid-fi wireframe, which is what most product designers always use, you have what is it? Sorry. Okay, this is mid-fi. I'm coming. Okay, this is mid-fi wireframe. It's commonly used by we designers. So mid-fi wireframe does not involve typography, also image, just like the low-fi wireframe. But the difference between the mid-fi and the low-fi wireframe is that the mid-fi wireframe is more or less like a digital representation of your lo-fi wireframe, the sketch that you already sketched, and you're coming to represent it now. Okay, so that is just the difference between the three. Now we have different things that we use in representing these wireframes. We have different things that we use in representing these wireframes. I think someone is in class. Prince, why are you just joining now? The class, I told you today's class won't actually last long, so I'm just doing brief introduction, and you came late. No problem. Okay, I recorded the beginning part, so you have no issues. So let's continue. You're welcome. All right. So let's see some of the things we use in representation in wireframe. You can see my screen. So for images, this is what we use. This box here, this box and a line. It's actually simple to draw. I'll draw it for you now so that you can see. So anywhere you see an image, you represent it with this box. As you can see here, all these places is supposed to be an image here, image here, image here. So anywhere you see images, you represent them. Even for the lo-fi wireframe, this is the symbol for representing an image. Then let me show you briefly how to draw that. It is not hard because you would be doing it for me. So you just come here to your tool, your shape tool, take a rectangle and draw depending on your size. Always try to use your design eye to gauge the particular size. That is if you are not given a size. So you can just draw, and you can go ahead to click on the shape tool again, take your line. Remember, when you're drawing a line, you hold shift and you drag. Then you leave the shift and try to adjust the line without holding shift. Now you adjust the line to fit the box. Then you come here to style the line. It is in one stroke, but we don't want one, so let's give it something like a 6. Yeah, so that we can see it well. So you can see, you can just control D this, or you draw again if you have the power to. So I just control D, and I'm rotating it. I'm rotating it and making it to fit. So this is how you represent your image. So this is how you represent your image. Either you do this, or you can remove the stroke. You can remove the fill. Sorry, remove the fill and add a stroke, and give that stroke a styling. Let's say 7 2, and this is it. You represent. This is how you represent your image in wireframe. Then how about the text? This is how you represent text in wireframe. If the text is a big text, a very big text, more or less like the header or something. This is what you use. You use a rectangle that is the size of that text. Let's say, okay, I click on this now. The size of this is the height. You'll be looking at the height. Let's say the text size is 264 or 100 or so. So the box you'll be drawing will have the same height as the text. Let me use a live website as an example so that you understand what I'm saying. Let me use a live website. So hold on, let's load. Priska, you joined late. Are you hearing me? Can you guys hear me? Can you see my screen? All right. Let this finish loading and I'll show you what I mean. Like this now, this whole image, everything here should be represented with a box, then the line. Okay. Let this finish loading well so that we can see it. Sorry, the network is a little bit slow. Okay. Yeah, so it's loading. Okay, so now you can see this text, this get online today text. So let's assume this text is 100 and I want to represent both this text and this three line of words written here. One, two, three, then this line. And that text, let's assume this text is 100 because it's big, or assume it's bigger. How would you represent that? This is how you do it. You come here, you take your rectangle tool, and you draw. After drawing, you can go to the height. You can see the height is 480, but your text is 100 or 200, anyone. You come here, you make it, let's say 100, and okay, 100 is even too small. So let's go ahead with 300, and this is the text. That text there that get online today in your wireframe representation. This is the text, okay, the whole text. Then those smaller text, you want to represent those smaller text. We have three of them, so you can just draw a line. Me, I'm copying this line I already drew here, but you all know how to draw lines. Make sure you work with your margin. If the text is aligned center, you align it center. What do I mean? You can see this text is not aligned center, is aligned to the left because they are all going to the left. It's not aligned center. So as should be the same. And you can see the text. You can see the text. This one is the longest, followed by this one, and followed by this one. So we are using line to represent this text here because they are small. Then we're using the rectangle to represent this big one here because it is big. Okay. So the same thing with here. We represent with the line, represent with the line, same thing here and here. Then for buttons, how do you represent your buttons? You also look at the size and use your design eye to gauge what type of size or what size is. Then this is how you represent your buttons. This is how you, if the button is rounded, you represent it by adding to the corner radius, or if it is not rounded, you don't add to the corner radius. You can see here the corner radius is 0. Then here the corner radius is 176. You can just play around with it. Then if the button is like this one now, you can see the button does not have a fill, but it has a stroke. You can represent it using this type of button without a fill but a stroke. How do you do this? You draw your rectangle, remove the fill. This is the fill. I removed it and added a stroke. You should know how to do that. I already told you. Then if the button has a fill, you represent it with a fill. Okay. Then something you should note for wireframe, we always represent in three colors. That is this D9, 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 which is Figma default color, black, which is FFF into six places, then white, which is 02 into six places. Sorry, black, white. Black is 00 into six places, then F. You should know the color code. You can go online and always browse it. So those three colors, let me put them out for you. Please, who is not muted, go ahead and mute yourself. Thank you. We can't see this white. Okay, let me give it a shadow so you can see it. Okay, so this is the white, this is black, and this is the default color, which is D9, D9, D9. These are the three colors that we use to represent in wireframing when you're wireframing. Okay, those are the three default colors. Then for icons, how do you represent icons? You can see this is an icon here. This is also an icon, and this is also an icon. So you can look at the icon size and wherever you want to fit it into to see how you can represent it or the size you want to use. But it's similar to image because icons also are images, either SVG, PNG, JPEG, and the rest. So this is how you represent your icons using this box. I just showed you how to draw them. So you use this box if it has a fill, or this if it doesn't. Okay, if it doesn't. So that is how you make your representation while doing wireframe. Then how do you represent a logo? Okay, I want to ask a question. Do you think a logo is an image too? Someone should answer. Do you think a logo is an image? All logos are images, whether they are in SVG format, whether they are in PNG format, or any format it is in, it is an image. Okay, thank you very much, Prince. So how do you represent that logo? You look at the size, you look at the size of the logo and where it is, and you go ahead and represent the logo. So how would I represent that host big logo now? Let's assume this is the size. You draw and you go ahead to use your line to hold shift. Remember when you're drawing your line, hold shift when you're drawing your line, leave shift and style it or take it to wherever you want. Then give it a visible stroke, let's say 7. Then you can control D and rotate. So I've represented that image. You can see wireframing is actually very simple. To you don't have to do much. You just have to know the basic concepts for representing what you have on the site. So you'd go and watch the video I already made. It's still the same thing I explained here. And you create a wireframe for me. I'll give you individually a full site, and you create the full wireframe for me, like from here to here, from beginning to end. You create every single thing you're seeing on the site for me. You can see all these small icons. You represent them by a box, then a text, a box, a text. And this you represent with a rectangle that is the same size with this one because it's a big text. And this is just an image, a big box, and continuously like that. This should be like a big box, then you put all these things inside. So hope we're understanding it because you're actually going to give me a wireframe. So Favor has turned in her assignment. Prince, you said you sent something to me to write. I haven't checked. Alright, Priska, did you turn in your assignment for the landing page? Okay. Okay, so do we have any questions pertaining to the last class and this class?